Hello, welcome to another Wednesday Night Live. This is our spring break edition. Spring break here in Oregon, and I am Teresa Harper, your independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and we are using Taco Fiesta tonight. This will be our featured stamp set. We're going to start with a 3D project, and then we'll move to a card. Okay, let's see if we can get this up. Let's see who's jumping on. There we go. Let's make sure we've got the volume off, so we don't get an echo. All right. Hello, Laura. Hope you're having a good spring break. Mine's been a little crazy. Crazy busy. Crazy busy. All right. So the Taco Fiesta stamp set is a $1 Million Achiever stamp set by Erica Serwin. She worked with Stampin' Up concept artists to create this stamp set as a perk of her $1 Million achievement, and only 0.001% of all demonstrators earn that honor, so it is a big deal. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Tracy. So if you guys all want to go grab your catalogs really quickly, I will go over the colors that are retiring. That announcement was made today. I'll show you the returning colors, and we have new colors coming, but until we get closer to the catalog, those don't really matter at this point. I just want you to know what's retiring right away. So if you grab your catalogs, I'll go over those with you in just a moment. Okay. Tracy and I had a nice meeting today. We had a team meeting, and we were able to watch a video that Stampin' Up put out over the color refresh. And we were able to see some sneak peeks of the catalog front cover and the back cover. And we were also able to see sneak peeks of some samples that will be in the catalog, which allowed us to see a few items that would actually be in the catalog before they released the digital version of the catalog to us. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the retiring colors. We've got So Saffron, Sahara Sand. We did have a fabulous team meeting, didn't we? Rich Razzleberry. Remember, these are the retiring colors. Pacific Point. Pear Pizzazz. Soft Suede. Mint Macaron. Mary Merlot. Blushing Bride. And Bermuda Bay, along with Mango Melody, which we will be using today. Okay, so now you get a look at those colors. I'll just shuffle through them one more time. That way you could mark your catalog if you want, or maybe you have a really good memory and you'll remember that. That would not be me. All right, so those are the retiring colors. Now these are our returning favorite colors. We've got Pretty Peacock, which you already knew about. Lost Lagoon, because those colors are in the Hello Irresistible DSP. And then Fresh Freesia, which is one of the current in colors, will be joining our core color line, so it will not actually be retiring. Misty Moonlight. These were in colors from the 2022. Lemon Lime Twist, which was from the 17 to 19 in colors. Berry Burst, which was from the 17 to 19 in colors. And finally, Blueberry Bushel from the 18 to 20 collection. Okay, so those colors will all be returning. Now, also keep in mind that Evening Evergreen, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink, and Soft Succulent, the current in colors, will also be retiring because this is the end of their 2-year span. And you never know, you may see some of those again in a future color refresh. We don't know. It's always a surprise when it happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our project. We're going to start with a 3D project tonight. And we are going to make this little box with the Taco Fiesta. So let's get started on that. Okay, we've got some very small pieces. All right. You'll need, I made the box solely out of the Mango Melody cardstock. You need a scrap of white for stamping the chili pepper. You'll need a scrap of white to cut out the smallest of the, the smallest of the tailored made tag dies. And then you'll need a scrap of Poppy Parade to cut out the support things. Okay, and we're going to cut those in Poppy Parade, which I've already done. Okay, but we are going to alter the size of this tag because it was a little big. So we'll be doing that together. Let's go ahead and we're going to stamp our mini peppers. Well, I'm going to go ahead and punch these. We're going to use the vintage bottle punch. This will be returning in the next annual catalog, and we need 2 of those. Okay, so we're gonna punch 1 and punch 2. And then we're going to take this and let's get our stamps together. Some scrap paper because we're going to be stamping all over the front of one of these with the tiny little chili pepper in the stamp set with the Mango Melody ink pad, which now I have no idea where I set that down. There it is, clear on the bottom of that stack. I knew I needed that too. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to take this tiny little chili pepper and I'm just going to stamp this randomly. Turning my paper and my stamp because I do want it to look random. I'm going to have some go off the page, and there we are. Okay, so we've got that. And while we're at it here, let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. We're going to do that in Shaded Spruce with the You Spice Up My Life, And the You Spice Up My Life is long. So we're going to do You Spice and then Up My Life. So I'm just going to ink up You Spice. Now, if you're not comfortable doing this, you can mask that off. Okay, so we're just going to bring this down here where I can see it. Now I'm going to stamp to the right. And I'm going to just put this down now for a little reference. And then I'm going to stamp You Spice. Okay. Then I'm going to clean that. I'm going to dry that off and make sure I'm not getting any residue. And then I'm going to ink up My Life. Again in the shaded spruce. And we're just going to stamp that down. Okay. And there's our sentiment. So we took a single one-line sentiment and made it into a two-line, just like that. And now we're going to close up our ink pad so I don't get ink everywhere. Shaded Spruce is one of those ink pads that grows for me. And now we're going to grab those tailor-made tag dies. And I'm going to take that smallest one. And because this is pierced, I'm just going to take and put this about where I want it, and those little piercings will just slip right in there. And then I'm going to put this on my little mini machine here. I'm going to put that down nice and solid, and then I'm just going to run that through. Okay, and I don't need to go all the way through. I only need to go through to the beginning of the die. Okay, so I've got that, and now I've got my altered tag size. Okay. So we'll set this aside until we need it again. We're going to take our scrap piece of basic white, and we're going to grab some Memento basic, our tuxedo black, and we're going to get that large chili pepper. We're going to ink that up. And we're just going to stamp that down. Hold it there and let the ink sink in. And that pretty much is our stamping. I'm going to let that dry for just a second. And while that's drying, I'm going to grab my fine tip glue bottle with my Tombow adhesive, my multi-purpose liquid glue. Just going to put a little bit of glue on there. Remember, with this stuff, a little goes a long way. And I don't want it oozing everywhere. So I'm just going to stick this at the edge of the tag there. Line up those holes, give it a press. And now my tag is ready to put on my box once I get it made. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and color up our pepper now. And we're going to start with a dark shaded spruce. And I'm just going to ink up the stem. Turn that around. And there is my pepper stem. And then I'm going to take my dark and light Poppy Parade combo Stampin' Blends. And I'm just going to give this a light fill of Poppy Parade. Just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to go back with my dark Poppy Parade. I'm going to go around the stem here because there might be a little shadow here. And then I'm going to go on the left side of the pepper and just give that a little swatch of dark, and go back and blend in that edge with the light. Okay, there we go. That is done. And now we'll take our scissors, because we have, this stamp set has no dies. So we've got to take and fussy cut that. When you're fussy cutting, think about where you want to end up. And make sure that you don't start on some tiny little piece that's going to be hard to finish up on. I tend to go for a larger spot on my image so that I don't end up with a tiny area trying to maneuver my scissors around at the end. So we'll just turn this with our left hand, open and close the scissors with the right. And there we go. Pretty easy. Okay, so we've got that done. Now we just need to make our box. So we're going to take this piece of Mango Melody, and this is 3.5 by 2.5. And we're going to get our Simply Scored tool. My brain shut down there for a second. And I'm going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 3/4 of an inch from each side. So I'll rotate 180. Okay. And then I'm going to rotate this to the 3.5 inch side, and I'm going to score it at 3/4, 1.5, 2.25, and 3. Okay, so again, on the 2.5 inch side, 3/4 inch, rotate 180 degrees, 3/4 inch, rotate to the 3.5 inch side, score at 3/4, 1.5, 2.25, and 3. All right, that was my Simply Scored tool falling over. That's okay, we're done with that. So we're going to get our bone folder. And what happened to my, there we go. My comments disappeared. Okay, so we are going to take our bone folder and burnish all of our score lines. And then this is our template, okay? This small little 1/2 inch section is our glue tab, so we're gonna start there. And I like to flip over to the back side. And I'm gonna put a little bit of an angle cut right there on that large rectangle. And then I'm going to go down here, and on the first score line, I'm gonna cut up to that. And then I'm gonna rotate it. I'm going to do the same thing again, just a tiny bit of an angle for that glue tab, and then cut up on the first score line from the left this time. Okay, so that gives me my glue tab. So we've got that. And now we need to what did I do wrong? Something's not right. I shouldn't have. Hang on. I did that wrong. I'm not scoring at, I'm only scoring at 3/4 of an inch. Oops. Check that. I'm not putting a lid on the box. Sorry guys, let's do that again. I didn't read my instructions properly. Okay, so on the 2.5 inch side, we're going to score at 3/4 of an inch. All right, that's it. That's going to be the bottom. So then we're going to rotate this with the tab on the bottom. And then we're going to score it at 3/4, 1.5, 2.25, and 3. And that's the way it should be. You should only have on the 2.5 inch side, you should have a 3/4 inch score. And then we're going to score at 3/4, 1.5, 2.25, and 3. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we're going to take and burnish on those score lines. This is an open top box. That's why we only need the one score on the bottom. Okay, so this small piece is still our glue tab, so we're basically going to do the same thing. Going to angle it, cut up on this score line. Okay, and that's going to give us our glue tab. All right. And then we're going to cut up on all 4 of these score lines. And I'm going to cut out the score. So I'm going to cut up on either side of the score line and snip that out. Just makes the box go together a little nicer. Snip that out. Both sides of the score line. And snip that out. Okay. Now we look like our, so far we're good. So we're going to take and we're going to cut off, because these 2 are going to be our side tabs. We need to shorten them, otherwise we're going to have a bunch of bulk. So I'm going to do the first from the right and the third from the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold under the second and the fourth, and then I'm just going to cut these in half. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and angle those up slightly. Just a tiny bit. All right. Okay, and that's all there is to the box. Now we're just going to add a little bit of tear and tape. Oh, we angled the one side. We need to angle this side up here at the top. Okay, forgot to do that. And then we're going to take our, it just makes it fold nicer where you won't have a piece sticking over. So I'm going to put my tear and tape adhesive right next to the score line. I'm going to give that a good burnish. I'm going to take off my release paper. Then I'm going to fold this over on the second score line. I like to turn mine upside down. I'm going to fold on the second score line from the right and the first score line from the left. And I'm just going to give that a nice press. Flatten that up. And there we have our box, okay? So now I'm going to take and push in my sides. This is the back of our box, so we're going to pull that in first. And then we're just going to use another small piece of tear and tape right here on the bottom to hold that in place. And get that backing off of there. And then we're going to be very careful, square up the bottom, make sure everything's all lined up. And then we'll give that a press, okay? Then we're going to take our little Tabasco sauce. I found these at Winco in the McMinnville store. They're located in the pizza area on the counter by the check stand, if you're looking for those. So I'm just going to give that a press, make sure that's all burnished down, and now I have my Tabasco. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and add our vintage bottles. So for this, I like to just take liquid glue. And again, make sure you're looking to see what's your front and what's your back. And your front is this front part, is the smooth edge here. So I like to do my front first so I don't get confused. I'm just going to put some liquid glue down. And I'm going to get my vintage bottle. I'm going to center that up as best I can. I designed this box so it would fit just about perfectly in that box, to the bottle edges. And then just make sure that when you get that lined up that you are not below the bottom. I like to set mine up, give it a press down so I know everything's all nice and even. Let that sit for a second. You can take your little bone folder, and then we're going to move to the back, and we're going to repeat that process. Okay. Again, I'm going to line that up, center it, and this time, before I get it nice and stuck, I'm going to line up the front and the back to make sure they're about even. Set that down, give it a press. And now my little Tabasco sauce fits in there perfectly. Okay, I'm going to set this aside to dry for just a minute so it's not squiggling on me. Give that a second. And then we're going to get some Stampin' Dimensionals. We're going to need the minis. I think I can get a full one right here. And then I'm going to put a mini down here near the bottom. Just like that. And then I'm going to add this to the front of my box. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Darn it. Well, let's see if we can make it happen. I forgot the cute little mustachey. So I might have to stamp that again. At least I didn't get it on the box before I figured it out. Because this is like the whole, this makes it so cute. We'll be stamping on a Stampin' Dimensional though, so we'll see if it works. Give that a good press. I'm going to let that sit there for a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to soak in there. And good deal. Okay. We made that work. Okay, now we can go ahead and take that. We're going to put it right here on our bottle. box here. Our next step is to put our Tabasco in. I'm going to grab some linen thread. And we're going to thread the linen thread through our tag, through the back, like so. And then I'm going to wrap this around, bring that out, give myself some string here. I'm going to cut that off. I probably have way too much. It's okay. Better to have too much than too little, I say. All right, so then we're just gonna take this, tie it up, like so. Then we'll give it a little bow. And our little hot sauce box is now finished. Okay, and if you want that to stay, you can just put a little glue dot there, and then that will stick right where you want it to stick. Okay, let's grab a little glue dot. Take your pick tool. Take that glue dot. I'm going to put it right down here on the bottom corner of my tag. And I'm going to stick that. Now, for someone to take that tag off and take the bottle out, I've still got a hole that you can restring. So we are good. All right, that is our first project. I hope you like that. Let me clean up my mess and we'll move on to a card. Few things away. Get them out of the way. All right, so we don't need those. These out of the way. All right. Those will make cute little gifts for someone who likes hot sauce. All right, let's just move these tools out of the way for the moment. Okay, that is that. All right, so our next project is a card. And it is inspired by a mystery not a card project that I did. Challenge, and this is the mystery not a card box that I made, and this holds 2 oatmeal cream Little Debbie cookies. It's a big box, and I had made this, and I thought, oh, let's make a card to go along with it. Okay, so then I came up with this card. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the card. This is the card that we'll be making. Okay. This is kind of a fun fold, an easy fun fold. And this is what we have. Okay. So we're going to make that. We're going to start with a piece of Parakeet Party cardstock. Okay. And this is cut at 4.5 by 11 and scored in the middle at 5.5. So I'm going to fold that up. But we need to cut a piece of this off. And I cut 1 inch. Pretty sure that's what I cut. Okay. Let's measure it just to be positive, but I'm pretty sure that's what I cut. Yep, 1 inch. All right. So we're just going to cut 1 inch off of the front. And I'm just going to use my Stampin' Trimmer, and I'm going to put it over here on the right side at the 1 inch mark. And I'm just going to chop that off. And there's our card base. Okay. So now I've got a piece of the Enjoy the Journey Designer Series paper. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I need to cut this down by 1 inch as well. Where did I cut this? Let's double. I think it's 1 1/4 inches. Nope, it's 1 inch. It is, I am correct. 1 inch. So I'm just going to put this in again, and I'm going to cut it at 1 inch. And there is my piece for the inside, my piece for the outside. Okay. Oh, and you know what I forgot to cut myself? I forgot to cut my inner piece. Hang on just a moment. We need a piece of basic white for the inside, and this piece is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. So we'll cut that at 5 1/4 and cut this at 4. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and stamp. I'm going to stamp the inside. And I'm going to stamp I'm So Happy You Were Born. And that comes from, oh, where was that? Oh my goodness. I didn't write that down, you guys. Let me think for just a minute. I think it comes from... Is that stamp? No, it's not something fancy. Happy Labels. Happy Labels. Okay. Comes from the Happy Labels stamp set. So Happy You Were Born. Sorry, I didn't have that out and ready. Okay. So we're going to grab a block for this. And we're just going to stamp this. I want to stamp this beforehand so that if I make a mistake, I can flip it over. Okay, and I'm going to do that in Memento. Thanks, Jen. I'm glad you like that box. Okay, so we're just going to stamp this up here. Okay, this Happy Labels stamp set comes currently in a bundle with the Happy Labels Pick-a-Punch. I believe they're both carrying into the new catalog, but not as a bundle. So you would want to get those before the new catalog goes live if you would like them. So now we're going to take the little candy and confetti from that stamp set. And we're going to stamp 1, 2, and I want to put this up here like this. And 3. Okay. That tells me where to put it. All right. So we've got that. Let's go ahead and color our candies. We're going to bring in some Stampin' Blends. And we're going to go with some dark parakeet party. I need a scrap paper. Always use scrap paper when you're coloring with your blends because they are meant to bleed through. So I'm going to start with a dark parakeet party here. And I'm going to go every other stripe on this one. And I'm going to move to the light parakeet party. color the ends of the candy wrapper and the remaining stripes there. Okay. And I'm going to move to Orchid Oasis. And I'm going to start with the light. And I'm going to color again every other stripe. And then go to the dark. Right. And then we're going to color the dark in the center here on this candy. And there we go. And then we're going to move to Polished Pink. And again, we're going to do every other stripe. This is the dark. Here I'm going to do the ends of the candy. And I'm going to move to light Polished Pink. And finish that up. Okay. Okay, now that is ready. And we can add this. I'm going to add this piece here to the inside of our card. And we're just going to do that with some Stampin' Seal. Just going to put that right along the edge, the bottom edge, line that up. And then we can add this. Oh, one more thing to do on this. Oh, no, we don't need to do that right yet. Okay. And we're going to just take some Stampin' Seal, put that here, center up our inside panel here, and get it semi-straight would be helpful. All right, now we can add our Enjoy the Journey. And I like mine to line up, so I want to make sure that I've got the right piece I cut. If you're not that picky and it doesn't matter to you, then you don't need to worry about that, but I'm that picky. And this should, because we cut the same amount, we made this 1/4 of an inch smaller, and we cut the same amount off of the Designer Series paper as we cut off the card. Everything should line up perfectly. Okay, so we've got that. Now, from the Fitted Florets dies, do I have those? I need to show you. Framed Florets. That's what it's called. Anyway, there's a die there that cuts. Oh, I don't have them handy. I just don't have them handy. It cuts an oval, and when it cuts the oval, it cuts 2 pieces. So I cut the oval twice, once in black and once in white. And we're going to use the inner white and the outer black. Okay, so before I do anything with this, we're going to do some stamping on this. So let's get this. And again, we're going to use our Memento Black because we're using Stampin' Blends. And for this one, we're going to start with our cactus. We're going to ink that up. I want to make sure this is nice. These ovals only fit in here one way, so you need to make sure you've got it. Get it so that it's level. Okay, I think we're good with that. That looks about how it should be. And I'm going to put my cactus right here on the side. Okay, then I'm going to take my taco chips. And I'm going to ink those up. And I'm going to put them down here All right, now we need a scrap piece of white. Okay, and what did I do with my scrap piece of white here? We need a scrap piece of white. We're going to stamp the piñata. I'm going to ink that up. We need a piñata. We need some more chips. We need the guacamole bowl. And again, we need the candies. Okay, so we've got those. All right. Now, I'm not going to color the candies again because basically I colored them the same way I did before. I only used Parakeet Party. I used Parakeet Party here, Pink Polish here, and then I outlined one of Parakeet Party, Orchid Oasis, and I outlined in pink, polished pink. Oh my lordy. Okay. So all I did with this is I just took this and went around like that. Okay. And then I colored the candies. I'm going to color the guacamole bowl. And I'm going to start with polished pink. I'm going to color that in. Then I'm going to take the dark polished pink. And I'm just going to put a little shadow in here. A little bit of dark right under there, the feet. Then I'm going to go back with the light. And I'm going to blend that all together. Okay, using little circular motions. All right, so now we've got that. For the guacamole, I used the light and dark Parakeet Party, and I'm going to start with the dark. And I'm just going to go and put some Parakeet Party on these artist lines here. And then I'm going to fill that in with the light. Okay. Now, if you want those lines to show out a little more, you can go back with the light Granny Apple Green. And just add a little bit more color. And that is done. Okay. Then we're going to take light and dark So Saffron and the light pale papaya. And for this, we really only need 2 chips. So we're going to take this chip and this chip. And we're going to put in dots of dark saffron. Okay. And color in the chip with the light. And then we're going to go back with the light pale papaya and put just a little bit along these edges here. Okay. And we're also going to use the pale papaya for the nose of the piñata. The piñata here, we're going to put light and dark polished pink. Okay, actually I want dark there too. And then I want the dark Parakeet Party. And we're going to color in these 2 areas. Oh, and I forgot we need to do the tail as we go here. This will be a little more efficient if we don't have to keep opening them. Okay, and then we're going to go to the light and dark Orchid Oasis. And actually, we're just going to use dark. And I'm just going to dot in these holes. And then pull a little bit of color into the fringe. Okay. And then lastly, this tail. Okay, now we have to hand cut all of those out because there are no dies. Okay, but I've done that for you already. So let's bring back our oval. And we need to color these. So we're going to, this time we need to color all 3 chips. Oh, this is light. We want dark. And I'm just dabbing in some color. I'm going to go back with the light. And add the light pale papaya on the left side of the chip. Okay. Now for the cactus, I wanted my cactus to be darker than my guacamole. So I took the light parakeet party. And I colored this in. Okay, put a little bit of shading in here with the dark. All right, then I'm going to go in with the light granny apple green. Oh, I am if I have light granny apple green. I think I need a new blend. Okay. So now we've got our cactus. Now, we're going to let that dry for just a minute, because we need to stamp on that cactus. And we're going to get the Memento Tuxedo Black again. And the mustache, face. And we're going to give him a mustache. And I really want that to soak into the paper. Okay. All right. And my ink was still a little wet, and that bled just a little bit, so you'll want to make sure you get that nice and dry. We should have colored that first and let it dry before we colored the other items. But now we're ready to start adding to our card. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this on here and put this down. Okay, and I don't remember exactly. I'm just gonna put this in. I'm putting my glue with the fine tip right along the edge of the circle here. I don't want to go out into the stitching area because my glue will then bleed through my stitches. So I'm just going to put a real fine bead around the edge. And remember, Tombow is a very strong glue, so if you can see it, it's enough. And we're going to add this to our card like so. Try to get that all nice and straight. Make sure this is fitting in the way we want it to before that's all solid. Okay. All right. And then I can just take some Stampin' Seal and fit that in there. Okay. Then we need our pieces that we've already pre-cut and colored. I also cut from the this little piggy dies, which are the, what are they called? Playful piggy dies on the clearance rack. I cut this little banner right here. Okay. And then I colored that in the Parakeet Party. I used all the darks, Parakeet Party, Orchid Oasis, and the Polished Pink. Okay. And we're going to take this and we're going to put this up in the corner of our card. Okay. So just a little bit of glue. And grab those tweezers. And I'm going to run this from the corner to the corner of the Designer Series paper. Okay. So that'll set just like that and look like it's stopping at the edge of the paper. Then we've got our guacamole, and we're going to pop this. No, we're not. No, we're not. Take that back. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here. I'm going to set this down here, like so. Then I'm going to take a mini dimensional, and I'm going to get myself a chip. I'm going to put a mini dimensional on there. And I'm going to stick my chip in my guacamole here. Okay. And then I'm going to take, and of these two, I'm going to cut one of these off right here. And again, another mini dimensional on that chip. We're going to stick this right here. All right. We've got the little sombrero, which I forgot to stamp and show you. I've colored this with the dark polished pink, dark orchid oasis, and then a light and dark parakeet party. And we're going to take that and another mini dimensional. I'm going to put this on the head of cool Mr. Cacti here. And then I cut those little candies. And we're going to get some glue dots for those. And actually, I want glue dot for my chip. I'm going to pull this ever so carefully. I don't like how that chip is popping up there. I'm going to peel off that dimensional. I don't want all of that. And if I'm very careful, I can pull that right off of there. Okay, good. Good deal. Then we'll grab that chip. Get a glue dot. And it'll look like it's better in the guacamole. And nobody will know we did that except you and I. Okay, there we go. Actually, with these, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna put these down like this. 1, 2, and 3. It'll be easier to do that. 1, 2, and 3. And for our little piñata here, we're going to grab the Wink of Stella. I'm going to put a little bit of Wink of Stella on the pretty saddle part here. And on the tail. There we go. Now, to adhere, before we adhere this down, we're going to take some of the Orchid Oasis metallic ribbon. Let's get some of these things out of my way. Okay. We're going to take some of the metallic ribbon and take a small little piece. And I'm going to measure this kind of like this. I'm going to cut that off. Okay. And we're just going to fold that like that. And then we're going to take this and we're going to make sure it fits on here. I'm going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal here. And again, fold this over. And before I really press this in place, I need to make sure that I'm not going to be too long on my card here. So I want it, yep, that's about perfect. But we've got to get this section here is a little long. So we're going to take this and I'm going to trim that off because I don't want that sticking out of the bottom of my piñata. Okay, so we've got that on there. Now we're going to pop the llama up, so we're going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals and I'm going to further secure that hang on, I did not pay attention. Don't do what I do, pay attention here. Okay, I'm going to take the flat side of my dimensional and put it at the bottom of my piñata there. Okay, and then stick on a couple of more dimensionals. And I'm going to put one mini on his tail. All right, so now we're good. He should be good and secured. Our ribbon is good and secured. And we don't have any sticking out the bottom, which is good. And then we're just going to hang our piñata. What side do you have? Just a tiny bit sticking out the bottom. Get those little pieces off. Okay, I think we're good now. And then we're just going to stick this up here and secure that down like so. Okay. Now we just have the sentiment left. So let's grab that. We need that scrap piece of white paper right here. And we're going to take the Holy Guacamole, It's Your Birthday. And again, I'm using Memento Black. And I'm going to stamp that down. And then because we already hand cut a bunch of stuff, we're going to go for it again. Okay, so I'm going to take and just cut on the top of Holy. I'm going to cut that down and make that more manageable. I'm going to go here, cut down, and I'm going to rotate that around, give that guacamole a curved edge, go down, straight across the bottom, curve up that edge just a tiny bit, and out, and again I'm going to curve, and then we're just going to cut that off by the way. Okay, so there's our sentiment. And then I'm going to take some Stampin' Seal here. And we're going to add that to our card down here on the bottom, really on the inside, but it shows on the outside. Okay, so there's our card. I hope you like those projects. All right, so let's bring back, oh, what a mess. Okay, here's our envelope. Bring back our projects. And clean up a little bit here. And there you have it. All right, I hope you enjoyed those projects. This Taco Fiesta, I have one more for you. We're not going to make this, but I have this sample to show you. This is kind of, I made a bunch of Easter boxes and gave them out, and this is a bigger size. The Easter boxes that I made hold 2 mini Ghirardellis, and this particular box holds 2 of the large. But it features the taco and you can call it a burrito or a soft taco. And I made that little box. Okay. So just some extra inspiration for you. I really had fun with that Taco Fiesta set. So here's all those bonus together. So you can see all that inspiration. And I hope that you will consider getting that stamp set. It is carrying over, like I said, so you have more chances to do so. And until next week, I hope everybody has a fabulous time. Next week, I'm planning on Eclectic Garden. I have a couple of projects planned for you, and I will see you back here then. Good night, everybody.